sports at Friends School and everything going on.
So thank you for having me. How much time do I have so I can? I have a couple little videos, but we might hold them till the end so that I don't.
You have 20, 25 minutes,
All right.
30 minutes.
So it's easier for me to go off of a presentation, so we'll do this. I do have a few videos in here. If there's time at the end, I'll show them. But when the students returned, we did have this great welcome video. I'm not sure if you saw it, it's on YouTube. All of our coaches participated. It just got them excited. It was kind of to like the welcome home song. But all the videos we have are on YouTube, so you can watch them afterward if you don't get to watch them today. I thought it was worthwhile. I often get the questions about the people in the department, what everyone does. So I'm the director of athletics, so I oversee upper school, middle school, all the athletics in the afternoons. I don't have anything to do with physical education, so the PE classes during the day, that is not me. That falls under Ann McGinty, who's the associate athletic director and the director of physical education. So often people will ask me questions about physical education. I just refer them to Ann, who then handles those questions. Ken Zales is the assistant athletic director, and SID, which is sports information director. So what you're seeing on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, athletic news, that's all Ken Zales. So if there's any suggestions people have, they come to us recently. Someone came to us with a really exciting riding event, students that were riding, that are Friends School students, that are competing in IEA. So we just did an article. Laura helped us with that, communication director. So we're happy to promote and be excited about all of our students here and all the things they're doing. We often only see the things happening on campus, but we're happy to support people that are doing things off campus as well. Rob Mara, strength and conditioning coach. So he's in the fitness room every afternoon, 3:30 to 6. Middle school students aren't permitted to go there without a coach with them, but upper school students can go there whenever they like. He will do workout programs with them. He can do an IPA with them, so an independent physical activity. So if you have a child that's not interested in one of the sports we offer, he can set up an IPA with them, which is 50 hours of weight training in a semester, and that counts as their sports credit. Then we have Liz Vaught, who's our full-time certified athletic trainer. She is here during the entire day. She teaches PE, and then also through the afternoons to tend to any injuries that happen during sports. And then Gina is also here. She's a part-time certified athletic trainer, and she comes around 3:30, depending on what the game day looks like, and stays through the end of sports. So these are names you might hear. I think it's helpful to know what everyone's roles are. So day to day, we schedule about 800 games a year, and with reschedules, we add about another 150 to that. So about a little less than 1,000 games are scheduled and rescheduled throughout the year. I think that's a nice number to just have, because I feel like often if, like we've only had I think 2 instances all year of a ref showing up 10 minutes late or a team showing up a little bit late. So we do have a lot of scheduling that we do, and Ken Zales does a really good job of confirming and reconfirming, but there are times where something might happen, so just take a deep breath and we'll make it right. We do parent information sessions and meet the coach night by season. So every season you have an opportunity to hear what it's like to be a part of the athletic program and meet the coach. We would love way more participation than we have with parents and students in that. We're getting much better. We now have an RSVP, which helps because once you RSVP, you put it on your calendar. So I would say last year those evenings probably had about 50 people. Now we're closer to between 100 and 200 depending on which season. The winter has less, obviously because there's less sports offered. The fall was about I think 180, and then the spring a little bit less than the fall, but not quite as small as the winter. We have a continued emphasis on the teacher-coach model. So we really do like when we have teachers on campus that can coach because they understand Quaker philosophy, they understand your students, they know what the academic day looks like, they know what that rigor looks like, so they can continue to teach in the afternoons. It's an educational-based sports program, so we don't always want people coming in from the outside who maybe are only coaches and don't understand what educational-based sports is. But we do have some, so we try to make sure that there's teachers or that I'm overseeing those programs a little bit more so that they understand that this is not, a club program. This is a part of a school, and if a kid needs to go to extra help, that's where they're going to go, and then they're going to be late to practice, and that's totally acceptable. So we have 114 coaching spots, 36 of them are faculty and staff, 18 are alums. This is pretty new for us, so typically we had about 5. We're really pushing getting more alums back. In lieu of faculty and staff, if we can't always find teachers that are interested, alums are kind of the next best thing. They've been here, they've lived it, they've played it, and we now have 18 spots filled by alums, which is fantastic, and really does show the passion for the program beyond graduation. We have 16 program coordinators in total. 7 of those are faculty and staff, 9 are outside staff. So a program coordinator is in charge of kind of overseeing the whole program. So if we have a girls soccer varsity coach, that person is meant to sort of oversee all the soccer programs, 6th grade through 12th grade. What does that oversight mean? They know who the middle school coaches are. They go to practice every so often. If there's a middle school game, they go and they watch and they bring their kids and they support. I want that 6th grader to be excited about playing for that program coordinator and continuing to want to play through 12th grade. And the only way to do that is if they knew who they are. So we just encourage involvement. They are on all of their pages, so using girls soccer as the example, every girls soccer page through 6th grade through that middle school program has that program coordinator on it. So as a parent, you could always email that person pretty easily and say, I'm noticing something in the girls soccer program that I want to talk with you about. So you don't always have to go to the coach. You can also go to the program coordinator who's meant to help facilitate those conversations as well. We have weekly meetings, Ann McGinty, Ken Zales, and I to make sure everything functions. So we do a lot of other things, but that's the most important thing. So you show up for a game and you would like the opponent to be there, the refs to be there, and your kids to be in uniforms. So we make sure that that happens by meeting every Friday to talk about the week ahead. We work directly with the 16 program coordinators. We do make sure that all the upper school teams have senior days. Before I got here, it was sort of touch and go with that. I think it's really important for a kid who's been playing for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to feel, okay, I just did this, this was a huge commitment. Even if it's just doing a little speech and handing them some flowers and just making sure that they are recognized at the end of their season. I do postseason meetings with all of our coaches. They do self-evaluations, and then we sit down with their self-evaluation and we go over my evaluation and see if we're kind of in line with each other. The students do postseason athlete evaluations. So I've got now 2.5 years of data, which is helpful. The longer you do these things, the easier it is to be able to compare from year to year. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the next slide. We post on Instagram, Twitter. We promote athletics via Quaker Nation, SALT programs. So we have our student athlete leadership team. So right now that's middle school and upper school and has been for the past 1.5 years. We're probably going to push next year to that just being upper school and probably not on those plus day mornings but lunchtime. So what I'm finding is kids are excited about it, but they'd rather sleep on plus day mornings. So I want to respect that I have children too who are in SALT and don't come to all of my SALT sessions. I take a deep breath as I let them sleep and I head to work. But so we will reevaluate that moving forward, but we don't want to get rid of it because we've had some fantastic speakers and some fantastic topics we'll talk about later, and I do think it's worthwhile. FSPA meetings. We'll talk a little about what FSPA is, but our FSPA students are 6 senior leaders that help talk between the students and the athletic department about Friday night games, Quaker Nation, Scarlet and Gray Day, Pep Rally, things that they want to see, and they help us so that we can see the student perspective. And we meet with them once on a 10-day cycle. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And then the IAM and the MIA are the 2 leagues that we're in. So the IAM is traditionally the girls' league, and the MIA is traditionally the boys' league. The MIA does allow female participation. The IAM does not allow male participation. So there are some sports, and there are differences. These have 2 different policy books. So we have to sort of navigate that. And some of the main differences that you'll hear between the 2 leagues, if you have a student that's an athlete, is the MIA supports JV teams and has JV championships. The IAM does not. There's a philosophical reason for that. So the IAM sees JV teams as feeder programs, builder programs. They don't want you to not play a kid because you're playing for a championship. They want everyone to play, seeing that you're trying to build up to play them for a varsity team. The MIA having JV championships, what you'll find if you have a son on one of those teams is towards the end, if you're towards the top of that, grouping and you're first or second, all of a sudden kids that aren't as strong aren't going to play as much because you're fighting for a championship. So philosophically, it's a pretty big difference. And they're 2 different leagues, so we're not going to be able to put those together and find something that works for a co-ed school because there isn't a co-ed league. So we talk about the differences with the kids, we make sure that they understand those things. Also philosophically, the MIA allowing female participation and the IM not allowing male participation. So that's pretty big. If I have a young man here who wants to play field hockey, he cannot. If I have a young lady that wants to wrestle, she can. So those are conversations that we just have to navigate. They're not our rules, but we do have to live within them. They're wonderful leagues. They provide a lot of really good support for our students. We would never want to not be in them. But one thing that we can do, I was the president of the IAM for the past 2 years and vice president the years before that, is try and affect change. So if there's things that we don't like, I can help make change. I can bring things to the table. We can talk about them at the summer workshop where we talk about different proposals. So just because they are the way they are doesn't mean they'll always be that way. So there's things that if you see there's differences or things you would like to talk about, we can definitely talk about them. And I can tell you when there's plenty of time to have those opportunities to talk about them, and I can bring them to the table. So you hopefully get my monthly push pages. We talk about athletic reminders, Friday night games, rivalry day, Scarlet Gray Day, MI and IAM upcoming usually championships and playoffs, college sports information, parent meeting dates, and new coach staff announcements. We typically only do the program coordinator staff announcements on there, again, because I have 114 coaching spots. So instead of announcing every coach, we really just announce that program coordinator. In that one also, we do get a lot of involvement in the hiring process for program coordinators. We're actually right now in the process of hiring a girls varsity soccer coach and program coordinator. We had 15 applicants, we're bringing 6 to campus. We're on interview 4 today. We bring parents in for a half-hour session, students for a half-hour session, faculty and staff for a half-hour session, and then a half-hour with the administrative team that I work with. And after that, we get everyone to fill out a form afterward. We sit down, we analyze the data, and then we make a decision. So it's a pretty long process for program coordinators. For the other people on staff, it's a little bit easier. They meet with the people in my department, possibly another faculty member, and usually the program coordinator help decide who would be the best support staff for that team. So the postseason evaluation that students fill out. In white, you'll see the questions. In black, hopefully it's not too small for anyone in the back, you'll see the options for the answers. And in red, those are the results from the fall 2019 survey. So how difficult is it to balance your athletic and academic responsibilities? 80%, I sort of grouped, you've got 4 options, but 80% of the students said slightly difficult to not difficult at all. So that's great. They're on the end of, we can make this work. How understanding is your coach about your academic responsibilities? 90% very satisfied to moderately, very understanding to moderately understanding. I'm recent to glasses, and so I'm just going to... okay. Oh, so much better. So that's good too. That means that we're being understanding of what the needs are for those students. How understanding are your teachers about your athletic responsibilities? So now looking the other direction. 82%, very understanding and moderately understanding. Again, that's great. So that only shows 18% are feeling like the teachers aren't really understanding of what they're doing. That's not a very high percentage, so we're in the good category still. Is your coach knowledgeable about the sport and able to convey that knowledge to athletes? 95% say yes. So that's excellent. 3 years I've done the fall surveys. We've been kind of around this 80 to 85% area. And we do give room for them to talk about more information. There's detailed answers at the end that I do go through. This year was the first time I asked them to be specific about what sport they were playing, if they were comfortable with that, so that I could be specific about how I was addressing things. So what would often happen is the kids would explain their athletic experience, but not talk like, this coach did this, and they'll bash somebody, but then they won't say what it was, or they'll praise somebody and they won't say what it was. So I've asked them to give me a little bit more information, and that's been really helpful in just being able to analyze the data. But I do have 2.5 years of data, like I said, which has been really helpful. Yes?
Sarah, did you say that was just upper school or middle school?
This is just upper school. I don't do this currently with middle school. It's hard enough to get the upper school kids to do surveys, but if I do middle school, what I would do is probably do it in a classroom setting with the coach saying, here's the evaluation, now fill it out, and just we get more information that way. So it is something I would eventually go to, I just haven't done it yet. So SWAT is something new this year. This will probably be the only year that I offer it because we didn't have a whole lot of participation, but that's okay. I've had some people in this room come, which has been lovely. It's an opportunity for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It was the first Friday of every month from 8 to 9 a.m. There was a sign-up sheet on a push page. There's been about 1 to 3 parents each time. It really is just an open forum. We've met in here, we've met in my office, to talk about your thoughts about sports. Ask why we don't have a track and field team. Ask how did baseball get on campus. Ask the questions that maybe you've been thinking about. Now obviously I have an open door policy, you can come at any time, but this made it a very easy time frame that people could say, you know what, I have a question, I want to talk in depth about this, this is the opportunity to do it. So tomorrow is a session as well, from 8 to 9, it's in my office, so if anyone has more questions about sports after this, you're welcome to attend that session. So this is also a program that I just started halfway through last year. So Coach Observation and Reflection Program. What it is I've encouraged coaches to attend 3 practices that aren't theirs during the year for 15 to 20 minutes, not even the whole practice. Take the opportunity to see what some other coaches are doing. So my cross country coach, he's got his way of doing things, but has he ever attended a boys basketball practice? Has he ever attended a badminton practice? And maybe you'll see things in those practices that you love. And maybe you'll see things that doesn't seem effective, the kids are talking on the side or they're on their phones, and I can be helpful because I can't be in all places at one time, but this gives both me and them an opportunity to do a little professional development in-house. Coaches are doing a good job of this. It is hard to give up even 15 to 20 minutes of your time 3 times out of season given coaching requirements, but I have really encouraged it to be out of season so that it is a little bit easier, and this has been a really good addition that we'll continue to push with our coaches. I know I'm saying a lot. Are there any questions at this point before I keep going? So, a little bit of the fun stuff. So these are some senior day pictures. Different programs do it different ways. Some get really lavish, some are pretty chill. This was one of my faves, so this was squash this year. Each of the seniors, there was a lot of them. The kids on the team all wrote notes to them, and it was really quite special. So we just make sure that sometimes parents come down for the pictures, sometimes it's just the athletes, but it's a really nice opportunity for the kids. It's not all about winning, but sports does have a win bump, so we're going to talk a little bit about this. League championships, we have been fortunate enough to have 5 of them so far this year, so in the MIA cross country and JV soccer, then the IM volleyball, field hockey, and we recently won indoor soccer. So lots of hardware hanging in the athletic center right now. Friday night games. We have quite a few Friday night games. We do a lot in the winter. People know about Friday night basketball, but we have added field hockey was new this year. Volleyball was new last year. We've had that for a couple of years now. Squash was new last year. This year it was a packed house, and that was fantastic. We actually competed against Park, which I think made it fun for the kids because that feels like a rival. The year before we did Squash Wise, which is sort of a club team. Didn't get as many kids there, so changing it up and making it a school that people really want to beat was really helpful, and that went really well. We have a lot of basketball ones. We have hopefully tennis coming up at Towson University. We're waiting on confirmation there on March 27th, and that'll be for the boys. We've had girls Friday night tennis in the fall before there, and it's gone quite well. Friday night baseball will be at Hopkins. Friday night lacrosse will be at US Lacrosse. That'll be a doubleheader, boys first, girls second. And then Friday night badminton will be in the Quaker Dome towards the end of April.
Yes. This is all varsity.
This is all varsity, yes. Trying to get any JVs. Well, actually the basketballs include JVs, but their game tends to be before the varsity.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
The Quaker Dome is the gym.
Yes. Sorry, the Quaker Dome is the gym.
Kara, how did you do squash in the Quaker Dome?
Oh. Did it say Quaker Dome? That's wrong.
Oh, okay.
No,
It's
that's
at
not
Meadowmill, right?
That's at Meadowmill.
You mentioned it. Okay.
Yes, no. We could call it the Quaker Dome.
And Karen, is that list somewhere on the website, or how would you access just that whole list to put on your refrigerator?
It's not listed like that anywhere. It's on my push pages. So on my push pages, even the one I just sent out yesterday has the upcoming Friday night games in a little list. And I always have those on there each month, and it just sort of tells you the next, like whatever's coming up. So that'd probably be the easiest way.
Can I actually take a picture?
Yes. But it has a mistake. It has the Quaker Dome. I'm very OCD. That's what bothers me.
But it's hats.
So yes, it has hats.
I can fix that. I mean, we would also, we'd be happy to post this basically, or the remaining ones on in our weekly messaging
Okay.
for parents, because it's a great thing for the community to know about.
Absolutely. I mean, they're on my push pages, so everyone does get them, and the upcoming ones are listed. The Towson one for tennis is listed as, I think, to be determined, because I'm waiting for them to, they actually changed over who's doing their bookings, just created a little bit of a holdup. And when anything's off campus, it does take a little bit more effort and time because we have to get a certificate of insurance, and that takes a little bit of time, so there's process involved. When it's here, it's quite easy, obviously, so, but the other ones are booked and ready to go. So, we'll have volume. see if it'll help out. How do we make this play? Can you do it from this?
Is there,
Well,
come out?
this is a really cute video.
There you go.
Alright, it's quick, but. That level of excitement, and those stands aren't usually filled. So to bring people in even once a year to be able to see these students play and be excited, we have themes. Obviously, I think this was red, white, and blue, or USA, or something. So it's a fun night to be a part of. I encourage all ages for everyone to come, even if you don't have an athlete playing. Another thing that I'm big on is team mottos. Not every team does it. Some people are old school, they don't like to have a team motto, but I wanted to show you some of the mottos we've had throughout this year. This is not something you would often see. So some of them are a little longer, like girls soccer, but then you've got some shorter ones, like field hockey is Together We Will. And it's open-ended. And Together We Will, they won a championship. So that was kind of fun, and they had that on their shirt. It's something they bring up often. Together we will work together. Together we will be positive. Together we will fight for excellence. Together we will support each other. So they could always kind of change it up. Girls volleyball win the day. Again, another fun one for them. Made at the beginning of the season and then winning a championship at the end. Boys basketball, created by chaos. I mean, you can make them fun, which is kind of nice too. The kids need to buy in. And you know, that team was one of the most bonded, wonderful teams I've seen in a long time on that basketball court. So squash family has been one they've done for a while. Wrestling, Strength and Honor, Tommy Monica, which is a nice honor to him. Girls Lacrosse just picked Own Your Hustle. So it's just a nice way to kind of bring everything into one poignant phrase that helps you remember why you're there. Athletes and activism. So far this year, the volleyball has done a pink out game. They raised quite a bit of money for breast cancer awareness, and the coach works at a place that also matched it. So I think it was almost a $1,000 donation, which was really nice. Soccer, both the girls and boys teams did an event at Camden Yards, Baltimore to help end global hunger, and that was at the Catholic Relief Services. Carlin grade A, we did a collection for Level the Playing Field again, which was quite nice. Lacrosse does Charm City Lacrosse, they help out on the weekends. Rivalry Day, we did a collection for Soccer Without Borders, and Field Hockey did a One Love game. So we try to do more and more with this. We can definitely keep doing more with this, but it's just one opportunity to continue to be active in the community. Professional development. So I've had coaches professional development on Plus Day mornings along with those SALT sessions. I usually do coaches professional development 7:45 to 8:45, and then the Plus sessions were 8:45 to 9:45. This year we changed professional development from topics to a book club. These are the books that we read, and different coaches run different sessions. So I asked the coaches, give me the books that you like, pick a session, that'll be the book that we'll do. So Hard Hat was the one we were meant to do just this week, but we actually changed it up for some other professional development, school-wide professional development around coronavirus and all of that. So we'll read that, we'll do that one for next month, and then we have Culture Code coming up. But these are some really great reads that have some good information that the coaches benefit from. What we'll think about doing next year, just to encourage more coaches to be involved, is probably choose just about 2 books and do about 3 or 4 chapters at a time instead of an entire book. Because if you're not someone that gets home and opens a book, this is a lot to expect. So we'll adjust it, but I think we'll keep it going because we have found that there's some great reads out there, and it has a lot of good professional development in them. Yes.
Are those the coaches that come to that, are they all the coaches or just the teachers?
It's the coaches that want to. So often it's about half off-campus coaches, half on-campus coaches. Because they're Plus Day mornings, there's a lot of things offered.
Right.
So some of our teachers are doing other things. But I've had usually about 10 to 12 coaches in each of those sessions. Other professional development, we talked about the SALT sessions. I go to the National Athletic Director Conference every year. Actually just received my certification about a month ago, which was just something I didn't feel like taking a test. So so I didn't take the test, but after 15 years I decided to take the test. So that was exciting. World Stride, I took a trip to London last month to learn with World Stride. It was a completely paid for trip by World Stride, so I could learn a little bit more about international travel for sports teams, which is something I would really like us to do more with. I know that we have our spring break trips, and right now international travel is not a hot topic to talk about how excited I am about it, but I think it will come back and we will be excited about it, and I would love to take teams, at least a different team every summer somewhere. And World Stride is a fantastic organization. If anyone wants more information, I can show you the app that I had, broken down, really clear messaging on the app. They have about $50 million of insurance for every incident on the trip. I mean, it's really well done, and they take athletic directors to London just to show what they're all about for 5 days. So I got to experience it firsthand, and it was pretty fantastic. So we will definitely do work with them in the future. OWL training, so I took a program, Our Whole Lives, so it was sexuality education training. They were looking for people on campus to learn more about it. Being an afternoon person, I hear a lot of things that don't, maybe teachers don't hear and things like that. So having good responses was really all I was looking for. And so I got that. So that was an interesting education for me. Restorative practices and leadership. In December, we had a wonderful speaker talking about Journey Through Tragedy. She was fantastic. In January, we got snowed out. In February, we did Quaker Values. Will Marbury and Amy Smalljohn came, and that was great. In March, we had to reschedule because we had an all-school event recently. But that speaker was supposed to be Shade Swan, who is a fantastic speaker who we're hoping from Bowie State is going to be able to come to our April session. That's the hope. Other events that we have, I've been in charge of a leadership event that we've had there now for about 7 years. So that will be 3 female students get to go to that each year. Power by Me conference, sadly, is over spring break. That's another really good conference. I did put it out to the community, told the students if anyone's interested to let me know, but it's spring break, so not one person's responded. Lift is an event from the Ravens, Learn and Inspire Females to Thrive. I've had 5 students say they're interested in that. That will be, I think that's in April, in Owings Mills at the Ravens Training Studio, so they have to submit and then get accepted to that. But our badminton coach will be going to that. She helps run that, so she'll bring the students back. So that's a really nice new event. These are our FSPA members. Talked a little bit about FSPA. We won't have to go through it because I feel like I'm going to definitely take up all my time. But FSPA, like I said earlier, is meant to go back and forth between the students and myself and the athletic department and the coaches. We talk about how they can be helpful. They work at signing days. They come to the SALT sessions. They come to Festival of Friends and they represent the athletics at Festival of Friends, our recent event that we have with admissions for accepted applicants. So that's been great. And again, those are 6 seniors that get selected by the student body to have that role. Most recently, we added a new program called Go Gipper. You'll see on social media, it's going to kind of upscale our social media presence. We can do really fun things like these. So these are just this past week things that we've done. We can do post-game reports. It looks a little bit more like a college response to a game. So you'll see a lot more of this on Twitter and Instagram in the future. So great new app. We have a senior that does their senior project with us now every year. So the senior that's going to be doing his senior project will be working on this. And as soon as I told him about it, that doesn't start for another month and a half, I don't think he's doing any homework anymore because he lives on Go Gipper. And I go in and there's like 20 new things. I'm like, you need to stop. I need to like take the password out so he can't do it until senior project starts. But it is really fun and right up the kids' alley, so that's great. Coming up, we hopefully have Friday night tennis. We have a college celebratory signing on April 1st. That includes anyone that is committed to play sports in college. And they will do a celebratory signing that day. April 3rd is our baseball game. On April 7th, I'm going to be running a college sports information session in Forbush that's meant for any freshmen, sophomores, or juniors interested in learning a little bit more about the college sports process. And then we'll have Friday night lacrosse and Friday night badminton. And like I said earlier, we have tons of videos on YouTube. There's a fall wrap-up video, winter psych-up video. They are attached to this, but we don't have to play them. And then that's the Twitter handle if any of you are on Twitter. I was not on Twitter until I got here. And I'm still not personally on Twitter, but it is nice to have an account and see the friends posts. So even if you just open an account and you follow @QuakerNation, you'll see all the happenings. And it's a lot. So if a game is going on, we might send 20 of them during that game. If you're not here and you want to know what's happening in the baseball game, you'll get constant feeds, which is kind of fun. It's like a little bit of a live experience when you're not able to be on campus. And that's everything. So, thank you. I know I talked a lot. Are there any questions for me? Yes.
I just have a general question about, sorry, I need my glasses too.
I don't need these.
I don't have my other ones. Now that my daughter's in 5th grade now, so she'll be entering middle school, and I was just trying to look to see what middle school offerings there were for her sports-wise, and it wasn't clear.
Okay. So if you go to the athletics, where did you look, may I ask? Did you go to the athletics page on the website, on My Friends? That would be the best place to go. And then it lists, it says sports and teams, and there's a list, and you can look through like the whole list of offerings. It'll list everything in the fall, winter, and spring. I definitely could include, and I usually do in my summer message, what sports we offer for middle school so that you can prepare. So before summer, usually at the end of the school year, you'll see from me, if you have a middle school athlete, these are the sports that we offer, just so you can start talking about it. But I can also make sure that Heidi Hutch maybe in the middle school sends something out, but you have a 5th grader, so you wouldn't get that. I'll have Michelle Holland, I'll give her information, and maybe she could include it in a message that goes out.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you. Yes.
Sort of on the middle school.
Sure.
And I don't know if this is something I should email you or just ask you here, so I'm gonna ask you. What I've noticed as a parent of middle schooler, fall sports for kids who play club is difficult because they both play club and they'll obviously want to play their fall sport. Whereas when you go to upper school, clubs don't make them play, you know what I mean? So if you play soccer, a lot of times you won't necessarily play club in the fall because you're going to be doing your high school sport. That's how they work it. So a lot of times it seems that sometimes the middle school kids have a lot more intensity because they're playing so much more. Is there a way to sort of deal with that with the coaches? Does that make, am I making sense? Do you understand what
With
I'm
our
saying?
friends, school coaches?
Yeah, because a lot of times, like I've noticed, obviously you're not allowed to, you're in school. So you have to go to your school things and they don't want you to pick. But then obviously parents have paid a lot of money. Well, you know what I mean? And
Well,
they-
we don't have Friday middle school sports, which often
Okay.
does help with the club situation
Okay.
because often it's weekend tournaments.
Yes,
So
that
we
it
are
does.
Monday through Thursday for middle school sports unless we can't, unless something gets rained out. Baseball tends to hit some Fridays because we get rained out. But we think that that helps with the club sports. As far as the during the week, if there's a specific, we've had kids say, every Wednesday I need to leave a half hour early to get to my club practice. I just let the coach know and they'd leave a half hour early to get to club practice. So we do that case by case basis. We always encourage kids to put your school sport before your club sport,
Absolutely, I
but the no Fridays we think is helpful. And then if there's specific people that need specific, changes to the schedule, we can usually make it work. It hasn't posed a huge problem in the past.
if we have an issue with the coach, should I contact you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So I think what'll happen is if a student says to a coach, I have club practice every Tuesday and Thursday, I can't come to practice, the coach is gonna be like, well, you probably
No,
can't
not that.
play.
Yeah, that's it.
But I think if it's like a difference of leaving a little bit early one day a week and we know, and if that's their schedule, then we stick with that and that's fine. But yeah, absolutely come talk to me.
Are sports offered in the lower school?
They are not currently offered in lower school. We've done like little clinic-y type things, and we've been asked to do that. We have a little bit of a situation with space. So in the fall, we fill all the fields, and we double up and triple up on fields sometimes. We have usually about 200 to 400 athletes each season playing sports. So it becomes tricky, but we continue to look at it, and we want to have like upper school kids helping out with the lower school and eventually offering stuff. We've had the 5th graders join flag football. That's something that we've done because we had a small flag football team in the middle school, so we had about 7 5th graders join. We also have to pick them up, walk them over, the coach has to walk them back and not leave their team. So it becomes a little bit logistically confusing, but it's not something that we won't keep looking at. I hate to be kind of vague about it, but it does become a little bit difficult, but it's something I would love to do more with. Okay,
Any other questions?
thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Did somebody join us? I thought I heard a click on the phone. Is there anybody on the phone?